Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're going to be going into issue 13, the aftermath of Omni-Man and Invincible's fight. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, really supports the channel. And without further ado, let's go right into it. Alright, so we see the medics arrive to help Invincible. And then we see glimpses of how everyone's taking it. We see Debbie seeing the news, seeing Invincible and Omni-Man fight. And then we cut to William also seeing it. And then we cut to Eve also seeing it. And the tailor, I'm assuming he knows now. Looks like he's getting drunk. And then we cut to Mark in the hospital, in Cecil's medical bay, while Mark's mother is crying. And then we jump to school where Eve is in class, noticing that Mark isn't in class. And I am noticing, I don't know why, but I think his name was Dragon something. I forgot. He was, I called him the green guy in a few issues back. I kept referring to him as the green guy. His head is just sitting here. Can't tell if it's a statue, an Easter egg, or what. Then we cut to, I think, Mark's house, where there seems to be a lot of newspapers and packages sitting outside, and William is knocking at the door, trying to check on Mark. Back in Cecil's medical bay, Mark wakes up and he says, and Cecil says, "Oh, good, you're awake. I thought it might have been a dream. Believe me, kid, I wish it were. You've been out for almost 2 weeks, but my guys have got you patched up real good. You should be back up to full speed in a day or two. We're basically just keeping you here for observation. We want to make sure there's nothing wrong that we missed. My name is Cecil Stedman. You don't know me, but I knew your father very well, or so I thought. I'm so high ranked in the US government, I don't even have a rank. I'm so far above the head of the CIA, he doesn't even know I exist. I'm also in charge of the Guardians of the Globe and their new government-sanctioned entity and the newly reinstated Guard organization. My job is to keep the world safe, no matter what the cost. Your father was my top operative. I was the man on the other end of his beeper, and when he was in costume, his earpiece. I have a team of world watchers who monitor our entire planet around the clock. When problems arose, your father was sent in to deal with them. I had no idea what his real motives were, and not a lot slips past me. I know you're going through a lot right now, but I'd like to ask you some questions. It's good to see you're awake and aware. Your mother was nearly catatonic for the first week after the event. She's still not altogether there, but she's getting better. Now, if you'll just... Oh, another time then. Sorry to bother, as he walks out. Don't know why he decided on that, but maybe it's because of how banged up Invincible or Mark looks. Back at Mark's house, William's leaving after knocking on the door, Eve sees him leaving as she's walking up. And she says, "Oh, hey, William. Oh, hey, have you heard from Mark? He hasn't been in school for 2 weeks, and I'm starting to get worried." Nobody is at home, and I haven't heard from him since that stuff between his father and him was on the news. I'm really, wait a minute, you know? Oh, man, you know too? Thank God, I thought I totally blew it. So, you think he's okay? I don't know. Cecil comes in back at Cecil's headquarters. He comes into Debbie and says, "Mrs. Grayson, I need to talk with you for a minute. I know that it is the least of your worries at this point, but I wanted to let you know that you're being taken care of. I understand that Nolan was responsible for the family finances and that you have no income whatsoever without him. As far as the public is concerned, your husband died in a horrible car crash last week. We wanted to preserve his secret identity and keep you and Mark safe. Nolan Grayson, the author, has become an international superstar after his death. His books always did sell well enough to provide your family with a decent income. Since his death, all of his books have gone into third printing in less than a week. I have the power to manipulate the buying trends of the public. I can ensure that you will have a steady, substantial income for the remainder of your life. A proxy has attended a folks funeral and been interviewed by the press. Do not be alarmed if you see yourself in the news. Our holographics division is second to none. This has been done to ensure that when you are ready, you and your son can return to your home and resume your daily lives with as little additional problems to deal with as possible. I know this is all a little overwhelming, and I apologize for all that's going on. I just hope that I can help you in some small way." "Why?" Debbie says, "Why are you doing all this?" Cecil says, "Because I feel responsible for your husband's actions. He was doing all this right under my nose, and I never saw it. I wouldn't be able to live for myself if I didn't do everything in my power to make things as right as they can be. And my power is vast." Back at the Teen Team's headquarters, Eve shows up and says, "Oh, good, you're here. I didn't know if you would be." Robot says, "We have been using this base as a temporary headquarters until the government can secure us a more suitable facility." We see Rex, Kate, and Samson all in the base with him. The former Guardians of the Globe headquarters is still owned jointly by War Woman's Corporation and Darkwing's estate. This facility is still sufficient for our needs. Robot, Eve says, "I really need your help. Invincible has been missing since that fight with Omni-Man was televised, and I don't know where he could be. He could be dead or lying somewhere near dead. Do you think you could call in a favor from someone in the government and try and find him? You could use spy satellites or something." I was not aware of Invincible's disappearance. I will do my best to locate him. You have my word. Thanks, Robot. Please let me know as soon as you find something out. Rex comes over and says, "Eve, What gave you the impression that we were speaking again?" Eve says. Back at the Pentagon, that's where Cecil is. Back at the Pentagon, comes in to meet Robot and says, "Thanks for waiting. Sorry for the delay." "No problem," Robot says. "Before we start the meeting," Robot begins, it's been brought to my attention that a colleague of mine has gone missing. Invincible hasn't been seen or heard from since the incident with his father, Omni-Man, was all over the news. I was wondering if you'd be willing to allow me to." "He's fine," Donald says. "We have him in custody. He was injured and we have been providing him with medical attention. But Robot, between you and I, he's the least of your concerns. Your hand-picked guardians of the globe are struggling. The response time of your team leaves much to be desired. And while you haven't outright failed on a mission yet, the top brass is not happy. All eyes are on you. You need to make sure you don't mess anything up in the coming weeks. You're more or less on probation." "I see. Understood," Robot says. Mark and Cecil talk, and Mark says, "So it was all over the news?" "Yeah," Cecil says. "To say the least, it's public knowledge that you were the son of Omni-Man. Now the public sees you and Omni-Man in a knockdown, drag-out brawl that resulted in thousands of lost lives and over twice as many injuries. Nobody knows why, though. Nobody knows you were protecting this planet from your father. Nobody knows that you were risking your life for the good of us all." "How do you know that?" "Your father's earpiece," Cecil says, "the one I mentioned before, works both ways. He could hear me and I could hear him. It picks up quite a bit. I could hear you as well. We have the whole conversation recorded. Come with me. It's good to see you up and around. How do you feel?" "Fine, I guess," Mark says. "Good. Through here." Mark walks into the white room, and Cecil says, "As I was saying, we have the whole conversation on tape. We let your mother listen to it to save you the trouble of having to explain this whole ordeal. She was pretty upset, but I think it will be good for her in the long run to have heard everything your father said." "You did what?" Mark said. "She heard everything he said? How could you do that to her? Some of the things he said, I can't bear the thought of her ever hearing them. What the hell were you thinking?" Cecil says, "It was the best way. Trust me. What would you have told her had happened? His reasons? His motives? Don't you think she deserves to know the truth?" "Yeah, but..." Cecil says, "I did the right thing. If you had sugarcoated the whole situation, maybe she would be sitting at home waiting for him to come back instead of dealing with the seriousness of it all." "I suppose you're right. Wait a minute. Where are we? Oh, sorry. Lights." Just then the white room changes into a research facility. And Cecil says, "Okay, that's enough. Lights." And it goes right back to the white room. What in the world just happened? Where did all that go? It's still here. It hasn't moved. The water America drinks is conveniently from their tap. No, the water America drinks so conveniently from their tap is laced with a chemical that inhibits the eye's ability to see certain frequencies of light. Those frequencies are used in this room. So it's all just invisible? Yes. You and everyone else in America don't have the ability to see things in this room and elsewhere. You'd be surprised how often this is used. Okay, where was I? Oh, yeah, your mother knows. I've also taken care of your family finances so you don't have to worry about an income. Your college, too, will be paid for. I pulled some strings. You got a full scholarship to Upstate University last week. Sweet, Mark says. Aren't you the least bit concerned with what I will want in return for all this? I am part of the big scary government after all. Mark says, crap, I knew there'd be a catch. Cecil says, don't worry, it's not that bad. Your father is gone. We monitored him on our sensors all the way past our range. He didn't change trajectories at all. He was going somewhere. He is not in our solar system anymore. Did I? Yep. Okay, let's jump back a little bit. When Cecil was explaining the invisibility thing, Mark says, so it's all just invisible? Yes, you and everyone else in America don't have the ability to see things in this room and elsewhere. You'd be surprised how often this is used. I turned the lights off for a second just so you could see what I'm talking about. I hope you didn't see too much. If you did, I'll have to kill you. Very funny, Mark says. An oldie but goodie, Cecil says. So if it's the lights in the room that's making me unable to see anything, how come I can see myself and you? That's complicated. We didn't want you to be too alarmed when you came in. It was important that you at least see something. Explaining that would be a waste of time, a lot of time. Okay, now let's jump back to where we were. We have proof that there are other planets capable of supporting life. Knowing how long he can hold his breath and how fast he can fly, it is not unreasonable to assume your father could make it to one of these planets. He was not committing suicide by flying into space. That was one of our technicians' theories, at least. We're pretty sure he wasn't. What I'm getting at is he's gone. Your father was very valuable to us, especially after the Guardians of the Globe were dead. He saved a lot of lives in this entire planet more times than I can remember. We need a replacement. Mark says, you mean me? Pretty much, yeah. We've been keeping an eye on you since your father told us you were developing powers of your own. You've improved vastly in a very short amount of time. Your father himself said that you will eventually be just as powerful as him. We need you. And as you already know, we have a lot to offer you in return. What do you say? Mark says, all I have to do is just be a superhero and allow you to tell me where I need to be when bad stuff happens. And in return, you'll take care of my mom and I get a scholarship. That's the gist of it, kid. Count me in, Mark says. All right, then. Follow me. Now all we need to do is fit you with an earpiece and get you a beeper, and you'll be ready to go home with your mother. Welcome aboard, Mark. Back at William's place, we see Eve knocking on the door, and William answers saying, Eve? And Eve says, oh, good. I was afraid your parents would answer the door. I hadn't come up with a good excuse for being here that didn't involve our mutual friend being a superhero. What can I do for you? Did you hear from Mark? No, but my friend works for the government, and he says that he was injured, but that they have him and he's healing up. He should be back soon. So Mark's fine? Good, William says. That's great news, man. I was so worried about him. Me too, Eve says. But he's safe now. William says, you want to get something to eat to celebrate? And Eve just stares. Back at Mark's place, Mark and his mother arrive home, and Mark just says, so. And his mother responds quickly saying, I'm going to bed. Mom, are you okay? No, not even close. Mark comes into the dining room or living room and sits on the couch. Then all of a sudden he starts to hear a beeping, and he says, what the? He's like, oh crap. And he answers on his earpiece and says, what do we have, Cecil? What do we have, Cecil? And Cecil says, first off, never say my name. Second, are you wearing your costume? Not yet. Never activate the headset until you are in costume. The beeper is your cover. You can always use that as an out if you are with people. You need to get in the habit of not activating the headset until you are in costume, so people never see you activate the headset. You need to get to space right now. Your friend is back. Your dad told me how you talked to him about not returning. His reappearance has me worried that this is connected to your father in some way. Maybe he was working with your father all along. Keep your guard up. Will do. I just need to grab my spare costume and I'm going. Invincible flies out the window and into space. And we see Alan the alien flying into orbit as we see a villain from an early issue floating there, dead. Alan the alien looks around, confused, and then he's suddenly punched in the back by Invincible. And he says, Invincible, thank heavens. When you didn't immediately show up, I thought I was too late. I have to warn you. Nice punch, by the way. Invincible says, what do you mean? Warn me of what? When I returned to the coalition of planets, home world, and told them that I had been going to Earth instead of Urath, they flipped out. It seems Earth is off limits to the coalition. You got a Viltrumite living among you. Oh, that. What do you mean? You already know? Yeah. Alan says, I don't understand. And then Invincible says, have a seat. This may take a while. After some time of Invincible explaining anything, Alan says, so you're a Viltrumite, but you don't work for them, and your dad left. He just left. Yeah, I've never even been to Viltrum. I don't really know much about them, but yeah, as far as we can tell, my dad is just gone. That is highly unorthodox behavior for a Viltrumite. They don't just leave their post. They destroyed my home world hundreds of years ago. My people are a nomadic species because we resisted the Viltrumites when they attempted to take over. I'm very sorry, Mark says. Don't be. You had no part in it. From the sounds of it, I'm the one that should be apologizing to you. If I had checked my records before I left here, I might have seen that Earth had been flagged as being prepped for a Viltrumite takeover. I could have warned you. I would have just gone to my dad and asked him about it. Who knows how things would have played out had that actually happened. Still, Alan says, I feel like I should have done something. I cannot imagine what you're going through. Since our home world was destroyed, my people have been taking steps to ensure our survival. We have breeding camps and child raising colonies. I never even met my father. The coalition of planets will want to hear about you. We are at odds with the Viltrum Empire. A great power struggle is brewing in the farthest reaches of space. The coalition is trying to unite enough worlds to have an army powerful enough to stop the Viltrumite expansion throughout the galaxy. The Viltrumites are so strong individually that they are virtually unstoppable. But no one has ever heard of a Viltrumite abandoning his post, or one that defies the Empire altogether. I must bring them this news at once. This could be the advantage we're looking for. Let me know if I can do anything to help. I'm not looking forward to Viltrum returning to this planet to claim it as part of the Empire. Will do, Alan says. I'll certainly let you know as soon as I hear something from the Coalition. In the meantime, what about you? With your father gone and all that's happened, what are you going to do? And Mark looks back at Earth and he says, finish high school, I guess. All right, guys, I'm going to stop there. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.